Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. This podcast is for the adventure-loving, purpose-driven, action-minded, authentic, and rebellious entrepreneurs.
Just like us. And just like you, we are trying to figure shit out. So join us as we talk about business and life and everything in between. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first inaugural episode of Serendipitous Rebel. Woo, woo. I'm Wendy Guth, and I am founder of Rebel on the Go, which would be the rebel part of Serendipitous Rebel. And I will let you introduce yourself because you probably would do that much better than me.
I like to talk about myself.
No, I never said that.
Yeah. But it's not.
Doesn't mean not even implying that.
Hey, everybody! My name is Krystal Eicher, and I am the owner and founder of Serendipitous Traveler. So, therefore, the serendipitous part of Serendipitous Rebel. And Wendy and I came together years ago, teaching travel career summits, teaching group
travel stuff
together. And we had a membership program together for several years, and it has spun off and evolved into this zany, fun, exciting, new entrepreneurial experience. And basically, guys, we're just two entrepreneurs just trying to figure shit out, just like the rest of you.
Exactly. And yes, and we're sticking to that.
So we wanted to pop in on this very first episode and kind of talk about our origin story, how we got here, because I think it's going to mirror a lot of listeners' stories out there. We got into the entrepreneurial space in a couple of different ways. So Wendy, I'm going to let you get started. How did you get started in the entrepreneurial world?
Well, okay. So it is actually going to be almost 6 years ago. I had one of those transformational moments. I lost my job. Turns out I ended up marrying the guy I was dating and entered a totally new phase in my life where I needed maximum. I had been a single working mom of twins. So I needed maximum flexibility, and I decided that my career had been as a meeting planner, and that I really wanted, I loved planning and I loved travel and all of that. So I transitioned to travel, being a travel advisor, and really did that. My husband works for the Navy. We were stationed overseas and came back 2 weeks before everything shut down in March of 2020. So my goals and aspirations upon returning were completely, it was crazy. As it was.
So you're telling me that working in the travel industry at the beginning of 2020 was really difficult?
It was, yeah. And I mean, and for all intents and purposes, my travel business died. I think it was March 17th. It was just such a struggle. And I realized quickly that I needed to do things that didn't allow me to fall into an incredible rut, and it didn't allow me to just wallow. And, and so I actually have a Facebook group, Rebel on the Go. And I started doing things in there that quickly translated into sort of what I looked at as how do you save your own life in terms of, moving under your own power and really leaning into the things that you're passionate about and your interests. And there's other things, but that's, the important ones in a nutshell. I started really leaning in. The power, the under your own power became physical activity for me, very much so. And also I started really leaning into the fact that I love to learn. And so I actually became a certified business coach. And so as this world is not traveling, I am pivoting towards coaching, and realized it's something that I love. And I actually did not do really coaching in the travel world, and I can let you pick up your story and from that point.
So, like Wendy, I got my start in the entrepreneurial space as a travel advisor. I owned a travel business, Serendipitous Traveler, and I started that business in 2018. And it was just starting to take off in 2020 when, like Wendy, the whole world shut down and everything came to a crashing halt. And like Wendy, I started pouring myself into things to keep myself busy. I needed to do stuff. Looking back on it, I can recognize that it was just massive amounts of anxiety, and I had to control something that I could control when I could literally control nothing else. I was canceling trips left and right. I was also simultaneously trying to homeschool my special needs first grader, which I was just lamenting with somebody recently, like, how the heck did we even survive that? I had an 18-month, I had a 2-year-old at the time home too. Everybody's working from home. It was just crazy. And I had gotten into the entrepreneurial world because I needed the freedom and flexibility like Wendy did. I was a military spouse. I had lived all over the world. And when I started my business in 2018, my husband was in the, I guess, getting ready to transition out of the military. But I still needed that freedom and flexibility because I had a special needs kid at home. 2020 kicked off, and we had been working with another person for a while, and this idea of a membership program had come together for a while. And so I had kind of started to pivot into that. That had been something that we had talked about doing years down the road, and said, well, what if we did a membership program for travel? And so prior to all of this, my background was in marketing. My background was, I got a degree for marketing from the University of Kansas. I was an event planner as well, and I leaned into more of the public relations side of things. And then, so when it came to doing my own business as an entrepreneur, the marketing side came easy to me. And I recognized very early on that came easier to me than it did to other travel entrepreneurs. And after a while, I had been mentoring other travel entrepreneurs in marketing, and had thought, well, what if we created a program where we leaned into our gifts and we taught that to other entrepreneurs? And that was the start of our membership program. And that has evolved now to Wendy and I working together here at Serendipitous Rebel to really lean into that. And what's interesting about it, and how Wendy and I really started leaning in, is when Wendy started to do her coaching certification, she had a program called Rebel Ready. And I went through that program of hers. So I was one of her coaching clients. And the big aha that I had from that, from a pivot standpoint, was I had this travel business and I was really good at marketing, but I did not call myself a marketer. I was a travel business owner. And then I taught other people these things that I knew, but really leaning into what I was doing well and owning that was a real struggle for me until I went through Wendy's program. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, I think I did know that. Yeah, I did. But it's interesting. And I think about those really critical moments. And I had taken a course it was sort of the impetus for Rebel Ready was a course I took through University of Michigan, their school of, actually it was public health. And a professor was talking about your purpose. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And that was it's one of those like life altering. I've had a couple of them. I think when I discovered the whole under your own power, that was one of them. And this one really, and I then just sank my heels in, really finding your purpose is such a critical piece. And now it intertwines into every part of my life, professionally, personally, physically, everything. It's what is my purpose, and how do I live my life around that? And I was and actually, I mean, I was super, super excited because, when we were coaching, and I bet I could tell people this, it's like you could see light bulbs going off. I swear. And those are those really important times or moments that then we lean into. And yeah. And I'm super excited about the whole Serendipitous Rebel. And we just got back from a trip to Costa Rica, where it was really an opportunity. So as a meeting planner, I've done a lot of retreats and masterminds. And this one was a little bit extra special because it combined masterminding with adventure. And it was a smaller group. So it had all of those perfect pieces of what do I do when I step out of my comfort zone, and how do I, connect, and all of those things that you don't generally have when you're sitting, I don't know, in a meeting room in the basement of a cruise ship. I'm trying to. Is that what it's called?
I mean, or just any meeting room,
right.
Looking at a PowerPoint presentation.
You could put, a lot of times you go to really beautiful places to hold meetings but yet you're stuck in a meeting room where, the air is stale. Okay. That's not nice to say, but anyway, you sort of get it. And this was an opportunity that each morning we would interact at a working breakfast and then go out and see and do and experience. I heard a lot, and I talk about my travel specialty had been transformational travel. And that's what I kept hearing, that, oh, I think that's you.
That was me. That was my neighbor not being able to get into his car, apparently.
Oh, okay. Having these experiences, it's really exciting what we're doing. And I really, it's fun now because we're in that ideation stage, and we are fortunate that we really don't have a timeline. I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and one of the things I will say that I think is probably a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs is, how fast can I make this happen? How fast? And sometimes it makes sense to, ponder and, cogitate or anyway, whatever the word is, to sit and think.
No, I totally agree, and I think, so this is Serendipitous Rebel. This is Wendy's and my new business endeavor. And what I loved about this is when we said, okay, what does this business look like for us? Okay. So it's a combined coaching program that combines Wendy's brilliance in business coaching and mindset coaching and my brilliance in marketing. And how do we help other entrepreneurs in that space? And so as we start to pull these things together, the great thing is that we've been in the entrepreneurial space for a minute now. We've made a lot of mistakes. We have done things differently, like try to get things up and running before we have systems in place. Try to get things, chasing the bright and shiny object syndrome as we get going. And these are all topics we're going to delve into in this podcast more. But what's really cool about this podcast and what we want to take you through is our journey and what it looks like to start up a business, mistakes we've made along the way, things that we have to ponder and think about. How did we get here? Because I think it is an interesting frog leap from meeting an event planner, which we both come from a meeting and event planner space, which I always thought was a really fun coincidence. But how do you come from that to transformational experiences and under your own power, because it is a complete different leap. And it took a lot of steps to get here. And I know we're going to dig into that. We've had amazing experiences as entrepreneurs, both good and bad, that really drive a lot of our decision-making today in how we approach online business, because the online business space is wonderful and beautiful and terrible and exciting and full of possibility and all at the same time.
Yeah. And, also we've elected to go a partnership route, which is a whole different thing because, a lot of entrepreneurs are solopreneurs and so we now have experience on both sides of that coin as well. And I think that actually makes for a really interesting conversation as well. Yeah. And I think the thing is, we've also learned that life is more than strategy, that systems are essential. Excuse me. And just a lot of, we want to impart a lot of our wisdom. And, it's interesting that since we've started this up, I've thought more about the fact that I have a degree in business from the George Washington University, and I haven't thought about it in years.
Yeah, it's like we worked together for years before I even knew that about you. You need to say that loud and proud.
I don't know. But I think this is, and I think this is it's really fun. I think we, from a personal perspective, I think we enjoy each other's company, which is kind of half the battle. Anyway.
Only half though.
Yes. And, as long as you can figure out my sense of humor, we're good to go.
Yeah, I've got that one dialed in. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. So that's us, guys, in a nutshell. We're going to dig a lot more into all of this, into our origin stories. We're going to be interviewing each other, interviewing other people, and bringing in different ideas around this crazy world of online entrepreneurship and just how to figure this shit out.
Yay.
So until next time, guys, I am Krystal.
And I'm Wendy.
And we will talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.